here tomorrow. Oh my goodness, wait till you see the lineup. But we wanted to answer your top questions, and I figured why not have this variety here? So this is fun for me. You guys ready to have a little fun?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's start with Antonella. Are these people online as well? So if we could bring up Antonella, I hope I said that right. Antonella, hey, how are you? What's going on, Antonella? How you doing
Your
today?
biggest fan. I'm great. So excited to be here, learning a lot from people I love.
Aw,
Artebrook.
well,
Hi, Antonella.
good to have you here. So I'm going to read your question, and then we'll have a couple of us answer the question from different varieties. You said, "How do I make AI draft things in my voice? How do I make AI draft things in my voice? It's helpful for developing ideas, but I generally need to rewrite everything." I'm going to go to you first on that one.
All right. It's a great question and honestly one of the most common ones. The key is, I said this in my presentation on day one, in the context sandwich. Remember the third piece, the what good looks like? So with writing in your voice, the first question is, what is your voice? And the good news is that you used your voice all the time. Any digital thing that you ever produced is your voice, right? So go hunt that down as step one. Step two, you want to analyze it. Now, here's the thing. If you just put in like one example of a random email you wrote, it's going to do something. It's going to show you some patterns. But if you show multiple emails, all of a sudden you have your email writing pattern. Now, I want to point out one important caveat here. Your emails are going to have different patterns than your essays, than your diaries, whatever, right? So you kind of want to create a voice for that specific type of text. So maybe you have an email writing voice, and you could split it out that way. Now, there's many more things we could talk about here, and we actually, in the bootcamp, we have a dedicated workshop for this because it's so important. I'll give you a few of the highlights, though, which is like one thing is you could have a list of words you use, and secondly, you can have a list of words or signs, EM dashes, anyone, AI always overuses those. You can have a list of those that you want to include or avoid, and that way you would just build this file, which is like Antonella's voice. Hope that helps.
That's super helpful and actually common sense now that you say it.
No, but
Yeah.
hey, listen, Antonella, none
Yeah.
of this is common sense. We had none of this at our fingertips, it seems like yesterday, right? And especially where this is evolving. I watch all the incredible comments that come in, and I saw somebody say, oh, this program is a level 3 program. I'm only at level 1. It's a journey, like Igor says so passionately. You have to go through each one of the journeys. We don't skip. When people think of things that are overwhelming, it'd be like being in 2nd grade, and then someone said, next year you're going to be in 12th. And then like after 12th, it's like, hey, we're going into your graduate degree. Like that's how people think we can do AI. We have to go through the process. So sometimes you're going to get to things and go, duh. But it's new to us. Did you want to add anything to that on the voice?
Yeah, one other thing that I actually really love about that, especially when it came to the things that you don't want, is to create a prompt or maybe even a tool that you use after the first draft is written that's a content checker. So I know sometimes when we've created our voice ahead of time or the multiple voices, we feel like that should be enough. I've created that voice, it should just work every time. But I actually have built into some of my AI systems that it will automatically run the content checker at the end, and then it gives it almost like a 2-step process for each thing that I'm writing. So if you identify the things that you usually would come in and edit as a human, like you said, oh, I end up having to fix it, write down what those things are or have
And
AI
feed it back in.
pull that out and put that back into it, and then the AI can do both steps right away, and then you can come in as a human with your human heart and give it that last little zhuzh. But there is a lot, like even though the zhuzhing is always a good thing, it is a lot, and it feels like, oh, that seems like common sense, but there's so many layers. So it's so great that we'll have that, you guys will have that workshop that's really going to identify the brand voice, because it is a much bigger piece than we even realize. So it's a great question.
That was a great question.
I love
Thanks,
it. If
Antonella.
I may, one little note on that. If anybody's trying to do that manually, right? I think most people who are kind of just using the base tools and not having an app that runs itself on you just send a second prompt of like, are you sure you used my,
Yeah, that's
thing?
it.
That's it.
Yeah,
But
are you
once you
sure?
have it in a file, you can just be like, are you sure you used it? And it's gonna be like, oh, actually, here's 5 points that and then you're like, okay. So sometimes you just gotta, trust but verify.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I hope that helped, Antonella. You're going to do amazing.
Absolutely. Thank
Remember,
you.
just
Thank
I
you
say this to
very much.
everybody. Remember, we're just the first generation who didn't have it and now has it, and it's going fast. So it freaks us out a little, but once you see it, it changes everything. Okay, let's go to Michael Korter. I hope I said that right. Let's bring it up for Michael. Or give it up for Michael. Bring up Michael. I just combined both things at once. How you doing, Michael?
Creative.
Oh yeah, I'm doing great. How you doing?
Good. You having a good day?
Good. Yeah, having a great day. Yeah.
Well, it's great to have you here. Your question, I'm going to read it, says, if I wanted to create an AI virtual assistant or chief of staff to help me with running my schedule and parts of my business, what tools or AI platform would I recommend? Want to go first?
I mean,
There's an easy one.
I'll keep this one short, and I think then it kind of there's an implied question here of what parts of my life should I even want to automate. But to keep it simple, I think right now at this point in time, the summit today, it's just Claude is really the only option, the best option to like build agents, because you have this progression where you can go from the basic Claude to Claude Cowork if we want to get concrete on the apps. And it's just such a smooth progression. Whereas in all the other stuff, you kind of have to like bury what you build your foundations on and then transfer them over as soon as you start getting to level 3, where it's a chief of staff or where it's actually taking action for you. So I would recommend that. But truly to get started, it doesn't
It's one thing.
matter.
Yeah.
But if you want to go all the way from like beginning to agent, it's just Claude makes it a straight line right now. And I like
And
that.
Michael, that's one of the reasons I answered it earlier. It's the reason we chose for those in our last boot camp. We taught everybody to build their clone in ChatGPT, which is fantastic. And what's cool is you can transfer that in a second. We just like the fact, and being partners with this guy who's on the cutting edge every day, he's like, Claude is the one where it's going. This is going to make it easy for people. They'll never have to code, and they can gradually, as we teach them over 6 weeks, start having things done alongside of you and then for you. There's a couple things. I just want to tell you, I had AI, I had Chat being my AI assistant. I went through the last boot camp. Obviously, I get to do this stuff directly with him, right? And then when I switched over to Claude, I just like it's easier, it's user friendly, and it answers in a little bit different way.
It's
I
human.
don't. It's human. It's,
a
more
bit
human.
It's
Oh,
a bit
that
more human.
sounds crazy. It's more human. And Dr. Brooks, maybe in between that question, I hear
Right.
like what you were talking about is actually what should I outsource? I love what you said about the left and right. It really
Yeah.
does give you a like. I ever since the last event, everything I look through left and right brain. I'm like, no, I need more of that done so I
Yeah.
can be more of this.
In the future, we always think that the future, especially those of us who are a little bit older, we think that all of the human relationships that we have are going to be substituted for. They're going to be crowded out by technology. But the truth is, 10 years from now, 5 and 10 years from now, we're going to be finding new ways to be adding more of humanity back into the machines. And
True.
all the things that we do. I work with dating app developers, and one of the things that I'm talking to them about a lot. I'm a behavioral scientist. I say we need more human connections between the machine parts. We need more human friction, is how it comes about, and that's kind of what you're talking about. It's like that's the zhuzh.
The zhuzh.
The zhuzh and everything is basically the human part. And so what'll happen is you're going to get all this left brain, cool, efficient stuff going on, and you gotta punctuate that equilibrium with some right brain zhuzh from time to
I
time.
love it.
Find ways to actually add in some love, add in some humanity is the way that actually works, and have that be your algorithm.
I love that. I love that. Michael, I hope that helped.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much.
Give
Appreciate
it up for Michael, everybody. Okay, now we have Noah Oswald. Can we bring up Noah? What's up, Noah? How you doing? I love the
I'm
Bob
doing
Marley
fine. Thank
poster.
you very much.
Love the Bob Marley poster. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. So I'm going to read your
Of course.
question. You said, first of all, you said, thank you very much. God bless you guys. God bless you. Thank you for the kind words. How can we always stay up to date so that we can use the right AI the best way for their unique use case? And what are the ways to get creative and use AI in business so that we can financially grow and help others with that? Great. I'm gonna break it down. I'm just gonna share personally, and then I'd love for you to share. And then anybody's got something, you could bring it in for Noah. I told Igor this since we've been partners 8, 9 months, 10 months, or I'm heading towards a year. Is the more I knew Noah, the more I felt behind for a while, because the more I knew, the more I was being sent from family, from friends, from Tony Robbins, from all my partners, all these things I should be doing. And the better I got, the more things people sent me. And I literally about 3 months ago personally got overwhelmed and I asked everybody, stop sending me all these options. Because right now, me feeding my clone and my AI agent, the more I feed this one thing, the more it knows me, the more things I have it do on a regular basis, it's learning my gaps and it's filling them. It's learning my areas where I have greater potential and letting me see them. And when something comes out, it knows me so well. And this is talking from a 57-year-old who's not in technology. I'm just a great observer and great at pattern recognition. The smarter it gets about me in this one lane, whenever there is a tool that somebody sends me, I just ask my clone. And it says, you don't really need this, I can do it. Or, actually, that one's pretty good, it's got good reviews, let's transfer this, and these are your first steps. So this one thing, I love when people say in business, most people go a mile wide and an inch deep, and the people that win are an inch wide and a mile deep. And especially being partners with this guy and Tony, we are a mile deep on this one thing, and I don't think anybody can keep up with us. You got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, man, it is so easy to be sucked in to the marketing noise around all these AI tools because the people who are really obsessed with them, like some of us, there is a little bit of a marketing message around the way that people are sharing the updates. A lot of the tools and the things that are happening, the changes, there's always a spin around it designed specifically to suck you in and pull your focus. So I love that where you're picking one or two tools that you really can count on and go deep into it. And then it is good to stay up to date, which is why it's important to be a part of a community where there's like that filter so you're not being inundated with the noise. I was actually just talking to Dallas about this as well, that there is this dopamine hit that comes up. I'm sure you can speak to this, right? This dopamine hit that comes up because it feels exciting to dive into the newest thing. And we need to know what the changes are. But if you allow that to distract you and not actually use AI for the reason that we're using it, if you're just changing tools or changing paths every other day, you're not going to really get anything done and you're not going to be able to monetize and make that impact like you mentioned in your question. So I would get really clear about your goals, pick one path, stick with it, and then only peripherally vary from that path.
It's interesting that I have one of my sons. I talked about him in my presentation. My son Carlos. He when he got out of the Marine Corps, he went into construction management. And one of the reasons he likes construction management because he's incredibly interested in the tools that people are using. He got interested. It became his hobby, the tools that people are actually using. And the reason he liked being a sniper, among other things, is because he was really interested in the guns, per se. And that gave him a lot of joy. And it gave him a lot of friends. And it gave him people in his real life that he could talk to. And this is the thing with AI as well. Look, it's hammers and screwdrivers. I got it. It's the sniper rifle. I got it. But the whole point is not just what gets done when you use it. It's what happens to you when you are using it and the friends that you make when you get more interested in it. So make it not just the way to make your business better. Make it a little bit of your hobby and something around which you can
part of
actually
your
make
identity.
In real life friendships, not just online, in real life friendships. Go out to coffee with somebody and say, how are you using AI?
Yeah, and Noah, one more thing, and then I want to get on to our next question. I hope this helped you. One more thing I think is really important. Last year at this event, we had a girl named Sabrina Romanoff. She was awesome. We loved Sabrina. She's awesome. And she said something to me that I want you to hear because your second part of the question is how can you use this in business or financially grow? So I'm on a call with her for the first time, interviewing her and asking her. I was so blown away by her. She was one of the 50 interviews we did. I was so blown away. I'm like, we would love for you to speak at our event. Usually I waited, talked to the team. I was so blown away by her. I asked her immediately to speak. And she said, Dean, of course I would. There's something you don't know. She said, you have been writing my marketing for the last 12 months. And my business has exploded and my offers convert incredible ways because you sell through your heart. I know that you care and you want to serve people. So I built my clone to know everything about you. And when I create something, I say, could you write this in a way that Dean Graziosi would write it heart-centered but gets sales? We have that access at our fingertips like never before in history. So how do you use it in business? You could model what Molly does or Arthur does or what I do in a moment. When do we have, like that was my core competency and now Sabrina's using it. which is great, and we all love it. So I hope that helps.
I hope that I do have one point to extend that sniper rifle analogy, because I think all of that is totally true, and yet sometimes a new tool comes out that is a sniper rifle that shoots twice as far.
Right.
And I think what you're also implying is like, I want to know about that rifle, right? Because I'm doing a business, it's having an impact. Like, there's all these outcomes that I care about. If I could get that better rifle, it would accelerate me. And that tells me that you're a particular type of person. You're a type of person who is looking within AI to find opportunities that weren't there before. And there's a subgroup of people doing that. And I think there's a certain emotional price you need to just accept, which it is, because like and I'm the same way, right? I want to stay on top of it. I want to know the latest and greatest, not just because of the function that I fill here, but really because I care about the technicalities. But if you're the same way and you want to generate advantages where you get ahead of the rest of the market, you'll just have to accept the weight of keeping up with a technological revolution that is, blasting at 1,000 miles an hour every day. With that being said, if you follow us, we even have a newsletter, YouTube channel. Like, we cover these things, but even recently we made a change where we don't feature 15 stories a week anymore. We're like, what's the one thing that actually makes a difference? And oftentimes, and then we want to spend a few minutes on that rather than focusing on everything, because there's so much noise. But if you want to be, a few percent ahead of everybody else, that's the price you pay. So, there's no really advice there except just to like accept it. If you want to be a few percent better than everybody else, you're gonna have to carry a multiple of the weights that other people carry. And that's very different to most people in this room who are just like, I just want to like be on top of all of this and use it. And for all of those people, I would say the best stuff, you might not be on it week 1, but it's going to percolate to the top in a few weeks, and you're going to hear about it. At this point, even my grandma knows that ChatGPT has new models.
So,
True.
Noah, I hope that helps. We did all the talking. We didn't have but you had a big question, and we hopefully answered, and we hope it helped everybody else. Give it up for Noah, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you.